Oh, am I ever excited. The ice is finally starting to melt. We're filming this. It's 32 degrees out. It's sunny outside, and it's the second day of March. Wow. Time's flying. Pick up the boat probably this week or next, taking it in, get it ready for the year. But as we excited, I've been organizing my tackle and getting everything all ready for the year, and I decided that I'm going to talk to all of you about my 3 favorite soft plastics for the month of March. And probably not going to be any bit of surprise, but you have to remember, bass move shallow extremely quick as soon as the ice comes off our lakes. And I think a lot of us think that fish stay out deep and they slowly come up. Yes, you can catch numbers out deep, but I think a majority of the biggest fish come up shallow first, and then once the males get there, those really big ones get harder to catch. So let's dive into it, right? I'm a full-time smallmouth guide out of Buffalo, New York, and one of the best tools you can do when the water is extremely cold and those fish move up dirt shallow is to hit them with a Ned rig. I mean, who loves throwing a Ned rig? Nobody. If you do, you're probably a crazy fool. It's one of my least favorite techniques to throw throughout the year. But in March, when the water's super cold, sometimes you just need a bait that you can throw out there and do absolutely nothing with. And that's where the Ned rig excels. Now, there are a ton of different Ned rig baits on the market that you can catch fish on. Z-Man, TRD, Strike King Ocho, all kinds of small manufacturers that make 3-inch worms. One of my favorites is a Yamamoto 3-inch Senko. The first one I grabbed though, because it's probably my favorite color pattern to throw in the spring, because the water tends to be off color. You want something that shows up quite a bit. It's going to be the color Copper Truce. Copper Truce is a phenomenal color when that water is first starting to warm up. Bass are shallow. It mimics a ton of different bait fish. Bluegills will be olive on the top and white when that water is super cold and the sun first comes out. Even crawfish, when they're emerging, will be a lighter color brown than the rest of the year. Gobies, if you're in the Great Lakes like I am, they'll be brown top, white belly, because the water's super cold and they're not really moving a ton, right? So my favorite jig head for it today is the BKK Ned rig head. I believe this one is 3/16. Lighter is better. 1/8, 3/16, quarter max. You're fishing water 10 foot or less. You're looking for rock piles, sand areas, big extensive flats, and you're just looking to throw this in the hot spots that you find with your side imaging and just do absolutely nothing with it. You're going to cast it out, let it hit the bottom, you're going to shake it a little bit real nice and slow on slack line, and wait. And repeat. And it's going to help you get a lot of bites. Now, if you have a sunny, flat, calm day, I'm going to show you a sneaky little mod here with the Ned rig that's going to help you put more bass in the boat. Now, Z-Man has these TRD spins in a willow blade. This is a fun little mod for you. Let me show you how to rig it up. Now, you're going to have your favorite Ned bait. This is a Max Scent General, and it's already rigged for you. You're going to take this end of the blade and you're going to insert it in the back side of your plastic. I gotta make sure we do it straight here, otherwise it's not gonna look right. There you go. All modified and ready to catch a ton of bass. And what this is gonna do is, as you're slowly knocking it, this is gonna emit a ton of flash. So it's gonna gain extra drawing power to bring those bass in, or ones that are lethargic and don't want to move. It's going to help entice and grab their attention and have them come over and bite your Ned rig and put some bass in the boat for you. That's plastic number one. Number two, it's gonna be your minnow baits, right? And I'm lumping two together because they both work extremely well in super cold water. And that's going to be your soft swim bait or your minnow baits. You've heard me talk about both of these. Everyone knows what a Kitech is. A lot of people may not know what a Cast Echo is. So the Kitech, when the water is sub 45 degrees, or in this case, warming out of frozen, I really like a Kitech on a football head, owner, or BKK with like a 2/0 size hook and a 3.3 inch. But the main reason why I like a Kitech is the plastic that they use and the amount of salt that they put in this plastic. It allows that tail to have an incredible startup time. So if you compare it to other swim baits on the market in ice cold water, some might take a little bit longer to start up, some might start up super quick. And the Kitech Fat Swing Impact, the Cast Prodigy, and a Megabass Spark Shad are all extremely good options, and you're going to use these to cover water. A lot of times bass are related to the bottom when the water is extremely cold, so you can creep, almost count rocks, creep that swim bait across the bottom. That's going to help you get a lot of bass in the boat. Now with the minnow bait, you're going to go super light heads. You're going to fish it extremely slow, so like a 3/32, a 16th ounce. The Cast Echo, this color's in Titan, the other one is Ozark. That Cast Echo has two unique features to it, and you've heard me talk about them. One, it has a glass rattle chamber, and it comes with a glass rattle right inside. You might not be able to hear it, but we tried. The other thing is, the way they designed the body of this is it catches water, so as you're slowly shaking that rod tip, it's going to have a ton of natural list and roll to the bait. So you can fish it extremely slow. You can hover it right over top of the bass's head. Those who have forward-facing sonar know all about the jig head minnow. Those who do not have forward-facing sonar tend to overlook the power of a jig head minnow. You can catch bass on it without it. You can throw it out there if you know where they are. Close your spool and tight line it down to them and pendulum that bait back to the boat, and you're gonna pick up a ton of fish doing that. My third bait or presentation or technique is going to be one that a lot of people don't talk about today, but I guarantee are still using it. It's the tried and true, probably one of the most prolific smallmouth catching baits of all time, but you can also catch a ton of largemouth on it if you're targeting the same areas that you are with a Ned rig. What we're talking about is the good old-fashioned 3.5 inch tube. And I mean, you don't have to go crazy in colors. You can use a green pumpkin, purple gold. It's my favorite smallmouth color in just about every single condition. But if it's sunny, slack calm, and I want to grab even more attention and entice bass to come over, that's when I'll go to something that looks like this. Super shiny, tons of flake. I feel like it grabs the light better, reflects it, and really makes those bass come over and get it. Now, there's two things here that I think are extremely important that a lot of people overlook. One, there's two different style tube jig heads that you can use. First, you have your long, slendered style. This one's really good for like dragging it, throwing it out, even snapping it up off the bottom and snapping a tube really hard on tight line and making it dart all over the place. Or you have your fat goby style head ones that were designed by Mark Zona. Bite Me tube jigs, I believe they're called. And like, I forgot to mention in the beginning, but everything is going to be listed down below that I've shown in this video. And you can head over to Omnia, type in code Serious10 and save 10% on your order. But I really like this tube head. One, when I'm fishing out in Lake Erie for smallmouth, and I am simply shaking a tube. Some people call it cracking a tube. I think cracking it, you're really making that tube dart and jump all over the place. I like to shake my tube almost like my Ned rig. Big heavy heads, 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce. I throw it on a bait casting setup, throw it out to the fish on those sand spots that hit the bottom. Only fluorocarbon, you must only use fluorocarbon. And what you're going to do when it hits bottom on that slack line is you're going to shake it fast, but not moving the bait at all. You want a soft belly in that line, so when you're shaking it, you might be moving that bait a 1/2 inch, but what you're trying to do is mimic a crawfish or a goby in super cold water. So you want to make it move millimeters every time you shake it. And the reason why I like that heavy head is it's kicking up disturbance on the bottom. It's gravitating, it's calling, it's making attention for itself. You can even get these with a rattle. I don't like the rattles in them until the water warms up. I like keeping it simple and finesse, but I mean, like, I use a 7'5" alpha angler rod in the clutch bait caster with 12-pound fluorocarbon with a 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce head with basically just these 2 color tubes, and you're going to catch a ton of bass like that. If you're fishing inland lakes and you're not on the Great Lakes, the biggest thing you're looking for is sand or gravel bars or shell beds, and that's where you're going to catch a lot of largemouth or smallmouth on a tube. Now, a little pro tip for you. Lead is toxic. Don't go lick it, put it in your mouth. Grab a jar of Podski or whatever your favorite scent is. Loop up that head before you slide it into the tube. You're going to save yourself headache. You're probably going to keep yourself a little bit more medically clean. So don't go licking lead. Lube it up with your favorite lubricant and smell. Slide her in and get to fishing. I hope you enjoyed this video here today talking about my 3 favorite soft plastics for the month of March. There's plenty of different ones you can do, but these are the ones that I really like to stick with in the technique wise. The Ned rig, the swim bait or a minnow, or a tube. You can't go wrong if you have those 3 soft plastics tied up on deck or in your kayak or even from the bank in some situations. So make sure you try these out. I hope the little tricks and mods we put in here helped you as well, and stay tuned for the next video.